just want to put it out there that we actually planned on recording this last week. And honestly, I kind of wish that we had have just recorded this last week before some drama rama started to unfold, because now I feel like the spotlight is on you to respond to all of this drama. And I know that you don't really give a shit to respond to any of this drama, but of course I would be remiss to not ask you about it. I guess. Is there anything that you would like to say or acknowledge, or is there anything that you would like to address with all the stuff that is kind of unfolded in the last couple of days on the internet in the wrestling world?
No.
Okay.
Because nothing has unfolded. It's fucking annoying that, like, just because somebody said some stupid shit on social media, like, that's not news, but it is, and it ends up being a thing. Like, it's fucking annoying that we're sitting here like I wish we'd have fucking recorded this the other day.
I know, when nothing had happened.
Baby was crying and couldn't get her to stop crying. So, but now I'm like,
hey, we're just two parents trying to get it done.
And you're like, I don't know. Should we bring it up? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to talk about it. And the lawyers are like, oh my God, are you going to talk about it? I'm like, I don't fucking know. I don't care. Like, but now I don't want to get dragged into this dumb shit.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's okay. So I'm not going to say I could fucking unload on a lot of fucking people right now. And when I start getting dragged into this shit, it tempts me to do that. But I'm not going to fucking sink to that level because it's fucking lame.
Well,
but I'll tell you.
Go ahead.
I will say this. I'm not going to tell you what anybody else said or did or anything, so that I'm not going to say anything controversial. I'm just going to give you like a tidbit of information from my point of view, from the time period being discussed on whatever the fuck Graham.
Okay.
The entire summer, I was not under contract.
Right.
No contract. Free agent. I was at SummerSlam weekend wrestling fucking Desperado and shit. The day of SummerSlam, fucking suplexed him on a bunch of aluminum cans and shit, cut in half. It was fucking dope. I could have walked in a SummerSlam that night with the AEW fucking belt if I had been so inclined. Nobody knew that because I don't put my shit out there in the world and let everybody know every fucking thing about my business, you know? So I was not under contract. Reason being, if you're curious, because I got a rehab and my contract was coming up. They extended it for the time that I missed. Cool. Totally. I'm glad they did, actually, because I didn't want to feel like I owed them anything, you know? So they extended it a little bit. It was coming up. They're talking to me about it. And the last thing I wanted to do when I first got out of rehab, because all they were telling me is like, basically, logic would tell you don't go back to wrestling because you're just going to fall into the same old habits, right? Mm-hmm. So I wanted to just like ease back into it and see what life was like on the other side. And the last thing I wanted to do was just hurry up and sign a big long-term commitment. You know, and when because what if, I don't know, what if shit started going off the rails? And like, I don't know. Like, yeah. And what I told him was like, look, you know, once it got to pretty quickly, I was like, man, actually being sober is awesome. This is fantastic. I'm having so much fun. Mm-hmm. I was looking forward to coming to TVs. I was working with my friends, Blackpool Combat Club, me and Brian and shit. I was like fucking Regal. Like, this is great. You know, and they're talking to me about signing a new thing. And I was like, if everything just stays exactly as it is right now, I'll be here forever. You can pay me in cash in an envelope at the end of the night. I don't give a fuck. But I can't tell you what I'm going to feel like in 6 months.
Right.
Especially not in 3 years or 5 years. And once I make a commitment, then I will push through injuries and I will push myself too hard and I will do all these things that, you know, things like that add up and it leads you down the road or whatever. You know what I mean? So sure. I just kind of I was not in a hurry to make any kind of grand commitments, you know, at first. Mm-hmm. So that being said, during this time period, the night in
Cleveland.
fucking what's his dick's talking about, it was in Indianapolis, not Indianapolis, Minneapolis. It was the night he came back and was hopping around on one foot and all that, and bumping around inner circle or whatever after me and Jericho wrestled in a badass match, by the way. So we're talking later about stuff. Now, keep in mind, at this time, this is my whole point. I basically don't work there for all intents and purposes. I don't even work here. Tony is not my boss. I don't even have to be in this room. I don't have to do shit. So even me being in this room and offering and agreeing to a storyline that puts you over at the pay-per-view, if anything, I'm bending over backwards for Tony and for this dude and for the company and everybody. Because I didn't have to. I didn't have to do shit.
Right.
If anything, I was bending over backwards.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it.
Okay, so here I've got a couple
that's it's not even controversial. I'm just telling you.
No, those are just facts. Those are cut and dry
keep
facts.
That in fucking mind.
Okay, so my questions to you then, just like based off of that, and this doesn't even have anything to do with that situation. That can be the only piece that you say in the situation. What's up to you? I don't care. But this has been sort of a situation for you in terms of like anytime there's been a little bit of a, oh, something's happening. Oh, we got to do something. A lot of things have fallen on your shoulders. And I think it's pretty fair to say you, as one of the cornerstones of AEW, your run as champion. I mean, even if you want to go back to the pandemic days, but I think specifically you being able to step in if somebody's injured, if someone's in a situation that you have been that guy. What kind of pressure comes with being that guy in situations when you haven't necessarily it's not been planned out, but you step up in those occasions?
I mean, that's what a big part of my career has been.
Yeah.
You got to be ready to seize opportunities when they arise.
Mm-hmm.
I think last time we did this was right before Forbidden Door, when I got slotted into Russell Tanahashi, which turned out amazing.
Right.
So that was just an opportunity. Got to be ready for that stuff. So for young wrestlers listening, you never know what's around the corner. So, be ready at all times,
It really is crazy to think of like your career with things like that happening. It's not just now.
And like, I've never been like, it's never been like the plan to build everything around me.
Right.
The only time when it was kind of like that, the pandemic happened and the whole world shut down. So,
yeah,
that's the only time that ever happened.
Yeah.
But does it get like annoying sometimes to be like, if you'd have just fucking gone with me in the first place, like we wouldn't be fucking going through this again.
Right.
It kind of does, but also like, no, it's all good. Like, I don't complain. I see the good in everything, and I'm just so having so much fucking fun.
Mm-hmm.
And like life is so fucking good right now. And I don't want any negative bullshit.
Right.
Like, what's the fucking complain about? Like, ugh.
Well, like, and I guess you can kind of like unload on that a little bit of just like the frustrations of not even this situation, but
I will say this, and I hate to say, I don't think I've ever said anything even remotely negative about AEW, but I will say this as an observer. It seems like, I spent 8 years on the indies, spent a couple years in WWE developmental, spent like 8 years in WWE. I have never seen so much bullshit drama in one place in my entire fucking life. And I hate to say that, but it's like, and I don't know if it's because of the age of social media, shit gets like blown out of proportion.
right.
Like one person types one stupid fucking drunk tweet and all of a sudden it's all anybody wants to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
But also is like maybe just like a generational thing as well. Like not only the social media aspect, but like people are coming into the business a different way. People seem to be able to behave a certain people just can go into business for themselves, whether they're going on social media and talking about how they're not being booked or, you know, how they're undervalued or whatever. But it is really crazy. I mean, I think when you really you don't even have to step back to look at it, but like with what has been built with AEW and how special AEW is and the core group of all the people that make up AEW, it's this like wrestling oasis. Yet there's still people that are chipping away that want to like talk shit and sort of disrupt this thing that you guys have all been working really hard to build.
yeah, like we're sitting up here on a Friday doing a podcast. You know what we're not talking about? We're not talking about the fucking stellar match by Kingo and Kenny Omega.
Woo! Oh my word.
All the cool stuff going on in AEW, cool shows happening. We're not talking about this great pay-per-view we just had.
Yeah, great pay-per-view.
You know, we're not talking about anything. We're talking about some bullshit. So yeah, I'll say this. So there's great talent at AEW. And there is a lot of people who work really fucking hard. And the vast majority of people, like, let me be clear, the vast majority of people there don't cause any fucking trouble or any bullshit. You know? And they're getting sucked down into the shit.
Yeah.
Like everybody else.
Yeah.
Into the muck.
Yeah.
You know? There's plenty of people who just want to get better and perform and fucking just do this job, man. It's the best job in the world.